Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We need to get behind some of these terms. So burden obviously is a loaded term, right? You're just to speak in the abstract of a burden, right? And we can't lose sight of the fact that we are talking about human beings, right? Just as a burden that has to be relocated or distributed from here to there, right? Like a quantity. And even the notion of solidarity, you're right, is problematic because it's very much a kind of an intra-EU solidarity, right? So who does that exclude? So I think actually, that takes us nicely to this concept that you've written about and that you just mentioned, lawlessness law, right? Which I guess sounds like a bit of a contradiction in terms, right? That's a bit odd, right? How can law be lawless? So maybe you could start by just describing what does that concept mean? What is lawlessness law?
Yeah, it's maybe explaining first, because it's a paper we co-authored with Dmitry Kochinov, who will be interviewed later, I think, here. But maybe we can we can start with how we came to this concept, and we observed with horror all the death in the Mediterranean, and at one point we asked ourselves, but the fact that you have 25,000 people who have died in the Mediterranean for more than 8 years. This doesn't happen by chance. And so what we started doing in this paper, and what we started investigating, is basically what is the legal mechanism behind which allows these 25 people to die into the Mediterranean. And this is what we call lawlessness law. So lawlessness law is basically all the legal techniques which are put in place by the EU to make sure that denying third country national rights or migrants' rights is never perceived as a violation of EU law. So it's basically based on I would call nationality segregation. So it's just because of your citizenship, of your nationality, there is of course, some racial aspects behind, but it's because of your nationality that you are denying these rights, and that it's never perceived as a violation of EU law. And this lawlessness law techniques operates inside the EU, but also outside the EU. So inside the EU, it's very easy to understand, like EU citizens have rights, third country nationals do not benefit from all the free, the freedom of movement, the free markets, and basically they are denied the most important right, the freedom of movement and the prohibition based on nationality. So this is inside the EU. But outside the EU, what we see is that there is this system which is built by the EU in order to make the rights of third country nationals, when we speak about rights, these are human rights, the right to life, the right to claim asylum, the right not to be subject to torture and inhuman treatment. So all these rights are denied by the EU, are made ephemeral, and the EU built the system as such as it's never presented as a violation of EU law. So I'm happy to give some examples afterwards to be a bit more concrete, but it's very important to keep in mind that what's happening in the Mediterranean or also at the Belarusian border, because there is also a lot of terrible things happening at the Belarusian border, is not happening by chance. It's based on a legal system as designed. So this is what we argue in the paper.